There were two great questions that came off the Discord. Shout out to the Discord. One of them was sort of applies to what we're talking about. What are you currently working on in terms of what are you trying to improve? What in your skill set where you're like, either something you've discovered recently, things you're focusing on? I mean, you know, I sent you this Georgia Twin mix before we got it mastered, and you gave me some thoughts about vocals and dryness, and now listen
contrast.
To this, contrast, and listening to this Rosalia record and how dry vocals are. I'm just, as a producer and as an engineer as well, I guess, obsessed with space on vocals. I mean, we've had so many conversations about reverbs and delays, and that's opened up all these new things about let me print my reverbs and delays and then chop them from there during the mix, or even now as a production tool. So I'm obsessed with vocals, vocal dryness. Do you guys have things that you're currently interested in, or something that you improved recently, or anything like that? Like, what excites you in the process that feels new? What are you trying to do? Anybody have?
Good question.
I'm trying to work faster, and I'm trying to, you know, coming up under someone like Eric, where like you just have this thing in your mind of like, oh, we're starting to mix. Like, it's like looking up the mountain, you know, and I'm trying to not think of it like that. I'm trying to think of like, and I'm getting more and more gigs where like things are coming in more baked and the roughs are closer and stuff like that, and trying to embrace that, but also just like trying to feel more confident in my own decisions. Like, cause I know I'm pretty good at it. I know there's a reason someone's hiring me, and like trying to eliminate a lot of the second guessing, just out of sanity. And also I just end up enjoying the process more if I'm not getting bogged down and kind of, you know, self-guessing myself. So that's where
a great
I'm at.
answer. I would say being less subtle. Like doing overdoing, overcooking things intentionally, like overly reducing things.
Not the food, right?
I hope not. I'll check that shortly. I'm trying to make vocals sound like they're coming out of a third speaker, and still not feel too loud.
You mean basically like separate them from the mix a little bit,
and without them feeling loud.
Yeah. There's a lot of that happening right now.
That's something I'm figuring out, and I think I've been able to replicate like on the last bunch of mixes, and I'm getting very few like vocal comments.
I think you and I are thinking about similar things. It must be in there. I mean,
I'm very into contrast.
Yeah.
I'm very into stark flavors, and
I love that. I feel like that's what we're talking about, music going back and around. Like, I remember when it was just get the vocals to blend more, blend more, blend more, blend more. Now we're as possible. Like, I feel like it's gone.
But still in the mix.
In the mix, but not like, it's like, I get it.
It's something like Wildflowers. To go to a complete, like, I love jumping genres. Like, I listen to like a hip hop record to inform an indie record to inform a pop record. But like, if you listen to something like Wildflowers, like by Tom Petty, which is a Rubin record, that vocal is like right here, and it's not like crazy.
That's one of my favorite.
It should be.
But also, in fairness, on that record, everything else is right here as well, you know?
Kind of, but the vocal is still like
everything's
more,
up.
you know, like, I think there's some subtlety in that record.
Yeah,
But you're right, it's not a
throwing
lot of
shade,
blending. It's got a real, especially the opening song, Wildflowers, like all the guitars and everything just feels like you're right, you're sort of inside it, and it's crazy.
So far we have happier in the process, less subtle.
I think like the big change that's happened recently is, like, before I would like completely do the opposite of what you're saying. I would strip a session and just rebuild everything from scratch the way I want it to.
Yes.
I've stopped doing that as much because it takes way longer and there are way more revisions.
Facts.
Yeah.
So, and I've also, like we said, like there's weird things where like the overcompressed vocal is affecting the groove and the timing and all that, and that's the one thing that you don't want to change. I think, like, especially with rap and the stuff that I'm doing, like, it's very in the pocket, and if it's out of pocket, it's their pocket, because they're, like, there's one, like, with Hot, I remember when we did it, like, Gunna was like, nudge, nudge. You know, off, but that's what the pocket he wanted. Now, once you get stems in and everything else, you got to make sure that you maintain that. So that's why I've been committing a lot of things and then moving from there, and things are moving way quicker too.
Nice.
It's something that I think you and I talked about, and there was a big discussion on the Discord about it recently, about pocket and timing and groove. Yeah. And it is so uncomfortable and also wonderful to hear how much hip hop is ahead of the beat, and it makes shit feel urgent. It makes shit feel exciting, and so much of my skill set that I built coming up under Eric, playing in bands, is like correcting performances so they sound more like contemporary records, live instruments, trying to make them compete on the radio with, you know, more programmed things, you know, in the 2000s. But now it's like when things are uncomfortable and off, the humanity of it makes it really exciting.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's a big part of hip hop records, is not screwing that up.
I like that we're nudging the humanity into it. Like it started good, and now it's like they're now on, and now we're pushing them off to
Yeah,
like
make it sound
human.
crazy. You know, the computer's a tool too.
We
Might
nudge
as
every
well.
bar, every bar
Oh,
gets nudged around.
as a vocal producer, dude, I'm moving stuff, it's syllables and syllables, thousands, and barely elongating words or shortening words.
Yeah.
Like it's not just nudging them. It's there's a way that the Swedes taught me to like shorten or lengthen words that like it totally changed my life, and that completely changes the pocket. And also, you said like when you push it ahead, it sounds more urgent. You make it sharp, it sounds more urgent too.
Yeah.
You know, like people tend to sing sharp when they're and they tend to sing flat when they're relaxed. So like you can fuck with the psycho acousticness of it. I'm trying to get back to your thing because we keep going off track. I'm trying to get everybody's concerned about left and right in their mixes. I'm trying to get more verticality in my mixes. There was a record by that guy Son called The Wheel, where he like halfway through the song he comes in, which I talked to him about it. It turns out it was pencils on a desk with an SM7, but it sounds like they're coming from 8 feet up on the room. And there's other instruments that are coming, and I still don't fully understand how he did it. But it's not just, the mix isn't just this way, it is this way.
Oh my God, I love it. You just brought that. I love that song. He was just here 3 days ago, played me his next,
I was going to say,
he's space like fucking no one else.
He's one of the guys, when I first heard that record, I was just like, oh, son of a bitch. And like went in and dumped everything I was doing and like started to get back to work.
He played me the first song on the album, and I hadn't cried for music in a long time. And with him and the producer on the couch, I just fucking bawled. And the thing I was noticing most is what you're talking. Verticality, like that's a huge thing, but just the size of the space can exist with contrast, with dynamic. And when the things come up top and the tickling, it's just insane.
It's
he's one of the best at it.
And he's unbelievable at it. And you know who else is great at it? Chad Blake.
Shout out Chad Blake. Gotta get him on.
Chad.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more question, which is always the most asked.
I want to
Oh,
hear
oh, shit. So for me, it's getting things as bright as possible, but without overly being bright. So like I want to be bright, but I also don't want to be bright, if that even makes sense. Like I want to be
like
crispy,
bright,
but
but
not
not
where people are
fatiguing,
going to
but-
be like fatiguing, right? And
Yeah.
finding that blend and that balance is difficult. And I feel like with the V5,
Shout out V5.
Is it V5 or BT5?
It's the VT5.
appraisal rig.
Yeah.
It's my-
That's the verticality. And that's you get verticality from and you get height from you know your full band spectrum is getting it to be bright enough is how you get. That's how Chad Blake got his height. He had the out of phase super subby bass. He would do like a distorted out of phase flip dupe thing on his bass guitars or 808s.
Sans
Amp thing. You flip the phase on it. It's like you can't get that sub organically at all. And then like super bright sizzly things like into a de-esser, so it was like held captive, but it was
Yes.
there. You know, like I'm on that same tip.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like
trying to get it because people always like you want the shit to be clear, especially when there are different systems. Like my Tesla's really bright,
Yeah.
but my wife's like little Mercedes SUV, that thing is dull.
Yeah.
So I'll have a record in the Tesla, and it's like, wow, it's clear, it's bright, but now I need to make sure that it's just as legible in that
Yeah.
car versus mine, because not everyone drives a Tesla, right?
Pro tip, everybody thinks DSs are for bringing high end down. Using de-essers and then bringing that shit up
nice.
is a great way to sneak some
Even
extra
it
high.
out and then turn it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. There's no Patreon. We don't read ads. We don't have sponsors. We're just trying to build a knowledge base. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks so much.